Welcome. My name is Juan Carlos Brito. I am the president of Inwood Manhattan Little League Baseball. Saludo. Mi nombre es Juan Carlos Brito. Yo soy el presidente de Inwood Manhattan Little League Baseball. I am one of four presenters today, and my co-presenters are Alex Martinez, Vice President of Community Affairs, Justin Ashley, President of Ladies Auxiliary, Juan Moreiras, League Secretary. Yo soy uno de cuatro presentadores hoy. Mis compañeros son Alex Martinez, el vicepresidente de la comunidad, Justin Ashley, el presidente de Ladies Auxiliary, y Juan Moreiras, el secretario de la liga. Before I begin, allow me to share with you how this will work. First of all, of course, we're going to present. You will have the opportunity to ask your questions in the chat box, which is towards the right of your screen. The questions will all be read and answered at the end of the presentations. If it turns out that we run out of time with the questions, we will answer the remaining questions via email. We are expecting this to be about a 45-minute presentation. Antes de comenzar, déjame enseñarle a ustedes lo que vamos a hacer. Primeramente, vamos a comenzar con la presentación. Ustedes van a tener la oportunidad de hacer sus preguntas en la computadora usando el chat box que está en la derecha en sus imágenes. Las preguntas que ustedes hacen toditas lo vamos a responder al final de la presentación. Pero si al final no nos da tiempo para responder para todas las preguntas, lo hacemos por email. Vamos a tener como 45 minutos en la presentación. Today we will share with you our plans to returning back to playing baseball, which include what you guys can expect from us, the league, what we actually need from you to succeed, our strategies to make our players, our coaches, our community as safe as possible. Hoy vamos a comenzar con enseñarles a ustedes el plan de nosotros para volver a jugar béisbol. Eso incluye lo que usted puede esperar de nosotros, lo que nosotros necesitamos de ustedes para asegurar que todos estamos sanos, las estrategias que vamos a usar para que los jugadores, los entrenadores, la comunidad esté as sano as posible. We hope that this presentation will answer all of your questions and provide you with assurance that we will be playing ball this year. Esperamos que la presentación le dé la respuesta de todas sus preguntas y asegurarse que vamos a tratar de jugar pelota este año. While we are certain that you will be impressed by our presentation and will want to participate, there are going to be questions that you ask, and a question that you may have there is, well, what happens if my child is not able or ready to play at this point in time? And the truth of the matter is that we encourage you to use the fees that you use for the season and carry it over to next year, to next season. That's the ideal approach. Some of people have asked to donate money, which is fine as well, or you can ask for a refund. Aunque estamos seguros que ustedes van a decir, bueno, esto está bien hecho y vamos a jugar pelota este año. Sabemos que algunos de ustedes quizás tienen la pregunta, ¿qué sucede si el hijo mío o hija no va a poder jugar este año por cualquier razón? Bueno, ustedes pueden usar el dinero que usted pagó para esta temporada, para el año que viene, la próxima temporada. Que eso es lo que están haciendo mucho de la gente. Alguna gente están diciendo, vamos a donar el dinero. Y alguna gente están preguntando por qué se devuelve el dinero a ellos. Y cualquiera de esas situaciones nosotros vamos a hacerlo con ustedes. No sé si van a tener preguntas otra vez. Las preguntas no van a ser oral, sino van a tener que hacerlo por la computadora. Once again, your questions have to be done in the chat room. You're not going to be able to ask us orally, so feel free to ask those questions. And why don't we get started? I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Justin, who's going to share with you why we should start. Vamos a comenzar con mi compañero Justin, que va a explicar por qué debemos comenzar. Justin?
Thank you, Carlos. So why should we get back out there to play baseball? I think it goes without saying, but we need to get the kids out of the house. We need to get them active and off those video games. And for the rest of you, off TikTok and Instagram. The kids will be in a controlled environment, will be supervised by adults. The risk is low. We'll be outside. The kids are naturally spaced in the game of baseball. And it's mostly a non-contact sport, baseball. We need to keep the kids off the streets, especially these days, and keep them from hanging out and avoiding large groups.
So I'm going to translate for Justin. Yo voy a traducir. Él dijo, ustedes lo pueden ver ahí también. ¿Por qué queremos comenzar? Bueno, sinceramente, queremos sacar a los muchachos de la casa. Ellos están en la casa jugando video, lo que sea. Queremos que ellos comiencen a jugar esa actividad. Los muchachos, la situación va a ser que están controlados con coaches y entrenadores, así que van a estar sanos en esa situación. Van a estar bajo de poco risqueo. Y la última cosa que dijo Justin fue sacar a los muchachos de la calle y ponerlos en un ambiente que es sano para ellos jugar.
So, what is our plan? Our plan is to start as soon as we can. So we've been meeting twice a month to talk about this, 2 to 3 hours each call that we're on, to be ready to play. Our goal is to be ready to play as soon as we get the go-ahead. Right now, it looks like it's a possibility that if we're on the same trajectory as we are right now, and we have to wait for phase 3 in New York City, and right now it looks like that may be July 6th, but that's, again, just a possibility. We will play games and practices while following the guidelines, and this is a very important thing. You'll hear this again and again, or at least in the answers that we expect that you might ask. What we have proposed, or at least what we have gone through painstakingly to prepare for, is just to show not only you, but also our government officials, which we have shared with, our plan, which if we had to, we could play the game of baseball in a very safe way. So, but yet we will follow the guidelines of the CDC, Little League, and the local and state governments, which we have not received yet. Not all of them anyway, because we're not open to play yet. We will enforce all safety guidelines at all times, of course. We will plan for, we have a plan for team practices, pre-game, during game, and after game, which you will see. Again, we will follow the guidelines, but we do have a plan as of now. And if you haven't already, we would ask, if you are in agreement that you think that it is a good idea that we get back out there to play, that you go onto our website and sign the petition. We have a petition, which I don't know what the number's up to now, but it is a very large number that have signed that wants to get back out there and play.
Bueno, nosotros queremos comenzar lo más pronto posible. La directiva, desde comenzando en marzo, tenemos reuniones cada 2 semanas y las reuniones son como de 2 o 3 horas, tratando de averiguar qué podemos hacer para poder comenzar, para que el muchacho esté sano. Queremos jugar siguiendo los reglamentos del CDC y también Little League International, que gobierna a nosotros. Vamos, como siempre, estar conscientes de que los muchachos estén sanos y seguros. Tenemos un plan para comenzar para jugar, también para la práctica, para qué hacemos antes del juego, qué hacemos en el juego y qué hacemos después del juego. Y todo eso se vamos a explicar en un momento. No sé si ustedes saben, pero hay una petición para poder comenzar lo más pronto posible. Nosotros que deseamos, si ustedes pueden, que vaya a nuestro website y en internet y fírmela para poder comenzar. Eso va directamente al gobierno. Nosotros también hacemos videos para darle al gobierno para que ellos sepan lo que estamos haciendo nosotros. Ustedes lo van a ver en un momento.
Saludos. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Martinez, and I'll be going over one of the biggest slides here, practice and pregame. Saben que mi nombre es Alex Martínez, soy el vicepresidente. Voy a hacer este slide de las prácticas y el prejuego. Se lo voy a comenzar en inglés, después lo voy a decir en español. Practices and pregame, we're looking for parents to take the kids' temperature at home before to see if there's any symptoms of fever. We're gonna ask one of those things for you guys to help us in. Anyone who's sick should stay home. If they're in contact with anyone, any person, just stay home. It's just a game. Stay home. Everyone should go to the bathroom before the games. Avoid using public bathrooms. As you know, we usually have porta-johns at Field 6. I think they all have been removed at this point. Bring your own equipment, mask, bats, helmet, etc. Hand sanitizer. That's your equipment, not for you to share. So keep that in mind. Bring your own water bottles. Again, hand sanitizer. We're gonna ask you to put your names on all your equipment. All your equipment, put your names on, okay? No food is gonna be allowed. No eating before the game. Eat at home. So these are things we're asking you to do before you get to the field. The dugouts and all high-touched areas are disinfected, will be disinfected at all times, especially after the games. Players will sanitize their hands on arriving and after the game. So that's something that's gonna happen, and it may happen during the game as well, okay? Kids must maintain 6 feet apart at all times. We will enforce that. We're gonna ask the kids to listen to that, okay? Vacating the field before another team arrives, they're gonna sanitize the field during that period. So that waiting period is gonna be hand sanitized, okay? So I'm saying Spanish now. Las prácticas y el prejuego. Los padres deben tomarle la temperatura a todos los niños en la casa antes de salir. Si hay síntomas de fiebre, que se queden en la casa. Cualquier persona que ha estado enfermo, haya sido en contactado con una persona que tiene una enfermedad debido al COVID-19, otro tipo de enfermedad, que se quede en la casa. Es solamente un juego. Todos deben de ir al baño en la casa antes de salir. Ya ustedes saben, una rutina. A veces los muchachos no van al baño antes de salir. Traten de eso, llévenlo como un régimen. Deben de traer su propio equipo, máscara, bate, casco. Todo ese equipo es para ellos, su propiedad. No lo van a compartir con nadie. Es una orden que nosotros vamos a llevar y ustedes también. Deben de traer su propia botella de agua, desinfectante, ya tú sabes, el hand sanitizer, como le dicen todo el mundo, tráiganlo. Ponerle el nombre a todos los artículos de su equipo, guantes, pónganle el nombre, los bates, todo. No se permite comida antes del juego o en los dugouts, donde tenemos los muchachos sentados. Las bancas de juego, toda esa área de alto contacto va a ser desinfectada, para que ustedes entiendan. Y especialmente durante el receso de un juego a otro. Los jugadores que traigan su desinfectante para su mano, siempre lo tenga durante el juego, también se le va a pedir eso a ellos. Los niños deben mantenerse separados 6 pies. En todo momento se lo vamos a enforzar, se le vamos a pedir a ustedes. Cuando se vayan a salir del terreno después del juego, también necesitamos que se limpien las manos, su equipo y todo eso. ¿Ok? Gracias.
Hi, everyone. This is Juan Moreiras. Thank you, Alex. That was a great job on that big slide. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how we're going to practice and how we're going to play games for the game, during the game, after the game, where everyone's going to be, and all the details and all the logistics. Okay, so I'm going to go through a few slides. I need everyone to pay attention because there's going to be a quiz afterwards. Okay, and Victor, I know you're out there, so I'm going to ask you tomorrow if you were watching. All right. Bueno, yo soy Juan y voy a hablar de cómo vamos a practicar, cómo vamos a jugar los juegos, antes del juego, durante el juego, después del juego, y cómo vamos a coloquiar los muchachos durante el juego. Okay? So first thing, eventually we will get down to practice, hopefully sooner than later. As Justin said, we have a target date of July 6th, and we're hoping they stick to that. So when we do get to practice, the first thing we'll do is We will only allow one team to practice on a field at a time. The other thing is teams will use special balls just for practice. So those balls won't be shared with other teams, and they obviously won't be used for games either, even during warm-ups in games. And during practice, we will ask coaches to break the players into small groups of 4 to 6 players and keep those players 6 feet apart. Like one group can use the infield, one group will stay in the outfield, and one group can be in the batting cage, just different groups spread apart, all led by the coaches. So cuando empezamos a practicar, lo primero que vamos a hacer es que nada más un equipo va a practicar a la vez en el campo. Y ese equipo va a tener unas pelotas que van a ser para práctica nada más. Y los muchachos los vamos a dividir en grupos de 4 a 6 muchachos y los vamos a separar. Y cuando están practicando se van a mantener a 6 pies de distancia. Okay, when we get to the games, okay, so pre-game, right? So before the game starts, so the first thing is all players must bring their own equipment. All right, we will have extra catcher's equipment, but everybody's got to bring a helmet and a bat and any other equipment. They're not to share that with anyone else. We're also going to ask that players arrive 15 to 30 minutes before the game, and don't congregate in groups. Like don't practice the way we normally would do, where kids would hang out in the outfield. Outside the field and warm up. Just come to the park and just wait until it's your turn to get onto the field. You will enter through a designated entrance. So once everyone has left the field, your team will enter and you will go warm up in the outfield areas, and players will maintain 6 feet apart, one team on each side of the field. So, antes que empezamos un juego, lo primero que le vamos a pedir es que todos los muchachos traigan su propio equipo. Nosotros vamos a tener el equipo de catcher disponible, pero todos los muchachos deben traer su propio casco y su propio bate y no deben de prestárselo a nadie más. Deben de llegar a 15 o 30 minutos antes del juego y que no se congregarse, que no se junten, que se queden separados y que esperen que el juego que está pasando se acabe. Cuando salgan los equipos, ellos van a entrar por una entrada y se van a calentar en una parte del campo, siempre manteniendo a 6 pies de distancia. How's my Spanish so far? Am I killing it? All right.
You're rocking it.
All right. Just a few more minutes, people. Okay, so during the game, these are the things we're going to do during the game to try and maintain social distance, right? So, and as Justin said, these are plans that we have, but we're going to follow any guidelines that the CDC or Little League or the government gives us. If they tell us we got to wear a blue hat, we'll wear a blue hat, whatever it takes. But for now, our plan is to, when we start the game, the coaches will meet with the umpire during the normal pregame meeting, but they will keep 6 feet apart and we will not exchange lineups. So the umpire basically will never be touching anything. He'll just be calling balls and strikes and outs and safe. All coaches and umpires will wear masks at all times. Now the dugout. I'm sure a lot of questions about how we're going to handle the dugout, okay? And I've gotten a lot of great questions. We will pass them on. The only questions we won't answer are Marcos's questions. All right, so in the dugout, we plan to keep 3 or 4 kids in each dugout as we know it. And then the rest of the kids, we will line up outside the dugout along the fence, 6 feet apart, with designated seating. So it'll be like an extended dugout. And for that, and there's a diagram that I'm going to show how this is going to lay out. And that dugout will have a fence to protect the kids from line drives or any errant throws, okay? In addition to that, kids are not to be horsing around, no handshakes. It's okay to tip a cap, but no after game, no home run celebrations, no touching faces. Also, kids will be asked not to spit, not to chew gum, no sunflower seeds, and no food in the dugout. Ok, en español. So, durante el juego, cuando empieza el juego, lo primero que vamos a hacer es los coaches y el árbitro se van a juntar en home play normalmente, pero se van a mantener a 6 pies de distancia y no va a haber intercambio de alineaciones. Los coaches y el árbitro también tienen que usar máscara el juego entero. Ahora, los peloteros en el banco que normal vamos a poner 3 o 4 muchachos y los restos de los muchachos van a ir afuera al lado del campo, al lado de la reja. Yo le voy a enseñar en la próxima página cómo eso se va a salir, ¿ok? Y los muchachos no pueden estar relajando, no pueden darse la mano, no se deben tocar la cara y no pueden tener celebraciones de grupo, ¿ok? No deben de escupir, no deben de comer chicle y semillas de girasol. Okay, un poco más, a little bit more during the game, okay? So we're going to ask that players wear masks while batting and running the bases, and the catcher must wear a mask the whole game because we feel that the catcher is the closest to the batter, so he should just wear a mask the whole game. Players on the field, they can wear a mask and gloves if they want to. Basically, anything you think you would like your child to wear, we're okay with it, obviously. But on the field, it's optional because, you know, obviously the kids are already spaced out. The umpire will not be behind the catcher. The umpire will be behind the pitcher calling balls and strikes. We're going to ask that fewer spectators come to the games. So far, the guideline has been 2 per player, but that could change come July 6th. And we're going to ask that spectators also maintain distance and wear masks. We're going to ask that parents please don't come near the dugouts during the games and don't come near your players during the games. The commissioner during the game will keep a set of balls, new balls, and they will change balls every inning. And each team will have their own set of balls so that the teams are not exchanging baseballs. Again, just to keep the risk down. Any ball that goes out of play will come back onto the field and given to the commissioner. Teams will warm up with separate balls. They will not warm up with the actual game balls. Between games, we will take a 10-minute break where we will disinfect, as Alex mentioned earlier, we will disinfect all of the high-touch areas. And also at the end of the game, teams will exit through a specific exit and teams will enter through a separate entrance. So durante el juego, los jugadores los que están bateando deben usar máscara y el catcher también tiene que usar máscara. Los que están jugando en el campo, la máscara es opcional. El árbitro va a llamar el juego desde detrás del lanzador. Él no va a estar atrás del catcher. Vamos a pedir que no vengan muchos espectadores por cada muchacho. Por ahora pedimos que vengan 2 por cada muchacho. Y los espectadores que se mantengan a 6 pies de distancia y que se pongan máscaras también. Y por favor, padre, que no se acerquen a los bancos durante el juego. El comisionado va a mantener las bolas nuevas para el juego y cada inning va a cambiar bolas. Cada equipo tiene su propia bola y no la están intercambiando. Y entre los juegos vamos a coger 10 minutos antes que entre el próximo equipo para desinfectar las áreas que se tocan mucho. Y los muchachos van a salir por una salida y entrar por otra entrada. Okay, so aquí puedes ver, let me switch back to English. Okay, so here's a field view of field 6. Okay, so this diagram is going to explain how we're going to lay things out, and when we're going to apply this to all the other fields as well, whether it be the softball fields or the big baseball fields on fields 1 and 5. Okay, so let me grab a little tool here so I can do some drawing. Okay. All right, so as you see here, this will be the entrance, right? So this is the aerial view of field 6. So kids will enter through here and they will exit through center field, right? So as the kids come out, take 10 minutes, clean up, new team will come in, okay? Spectators out in the outfield, beyond center field, will sit in their normal areas, and they will keep 6 feet apart and wear masks as well. Okay, so the dugout areas. Oh, you'll see here, sorry, before I get to the dugout, the umpire will be here, right? You see I'm circling him behind the pitcher. The coach at first base will be in his normal spot. The coach at third base will be in their normal spot. So the big difference here is that we have the regular dugout where we will keep 3 to 4 players here, right? So this is your normal dugout. So this is the home dugout. And then the rest of the kids will be out here, okay, separated 6 feet apart. And we've measured all that. There's plenty of room for about 18 kids all together. So as kids bat and they rotate around, the next group of 3 or 4 kids will go into the dugout. Again, always trying to maintain 6 feet. Ok, so en español, aquí es una vista del campo del play número 6, que estoy seguro que ustedes lo conocen bien, pero este plan que tenemos para el 6 lo pensamos hacer en los otros play también, en el 2, el 3, el 4, el 1 y el 5. Okay. Ok, so la primera cosa es que los muchachos, los equipos van a entrar por la entrada en right field. Pero ellos no van a entrar hasta que salga cualquier equipo y el play tiene que estar vacío y desinfectado antes que entren. Y los equipos van a salir por la entrada en center field. Los espectadores se van a sentar afuera, como siempre, pero se van a mantener a 6 pies y usar máscara. Ahora, en el banco, vamos a decir, por ejemplo, aquí en este banco, vamos a poner 4 muchachos a 6 pies. ¿Ok? Y los restos de los muchachos los ponemos aquí afuera. Y aquí le vamos a poner una reja. Sorry, I didn't mention that in English earlier. There will be a fence right here that will protect this group of kids from line drives and fly balls. So los muchachos que van a ir aquí afuera, que van a ser hasta de 10 a 12 muchachos, van a ir sentados, right, aquí, y va a haber una reja aquí que lo va a proteger de una línea bateada o un tiro malo. Ok, lo vamos a hacer en cada lado, hacemos lo mismo. All right, moving on. Oops, let me erase all that. Okay, so after the game, real quick, okay? You have your team meetings. You can have a team meeting in the outfield. Just keep it in a big circle. We'll ask the coach, tell the coaches to keep your kids in a big circle, 6 feet apart. Kids should not loiter after the games or congregate. They should get their stuff and go. There's no practicing, no throwing the ball around. I know that's a lot of fun and that's what we've always been doing, but these are different times and we gotta try and stick to rules so that we can play safely, okay? So basically, kids should meet their parents and leave, okay? So después del juego, los equipos se pueden reunir en el outfield, pero manteniendo 6 pies y el coach le puede hablar con ellos lo que tenga que decir sobre el juego, la próxima juego, la próxima práctica, lo que sea. Pero siempre manteniendo 6 pies. Después que salgan por el center field, los niños no deben congregarse y no deben de practicar afuera. Deben de coger sus cosas y irse, encontrar los padres y que se vayan. Okay? All right, so with that, I'm going to pass it on to Alex. Are we up to Alex again? Hold on. Yeah. Okay, so here we have a video. I'm sorry, Alex. So we're going to show you a video of a demonstration that Alex put together, and he's going to talk through it. Alex, give me a second to get it started. Esto es un video de una demostración que hizo Alex con su equipo, cómo vamos a jugar los juegos. All right, Alex, you're going.
All right.
Thank you.
So we want to thank Ernesto and all the coaches that participated in this. And here's the gate where we're talking about all the players entering. As you can see, we will have hand sanitizer and a lot of the products we need. Ahí ve la entrada del play número 6, cuando van a entrar los muchachos y de todos los equipos que se necesitan, mascarilla, desinfectantes para las manos, y así lo pueden ver por dónde van a entrar. por el diamante número 6. Los otros terrenos vamos a hacer lo mismo. You can continue, Juan.
Sorry.
Aquí van a ver, here you can see the practicing as they're going. They're 6 feet apart, way more than 6 feet apart. Aquí ven cómo están practicando todos los niños. Están a más de 6 pies de distancia, cada uno. Here we have the kids in the dugout. As you can see, there's that big fat kid we have. So you can see him at the end. We may be able to get, we have 4 there. We could probably get more, maybe 1 more at the ends or 2 more. Tenemos los 4 muchachos, ahí ven el muchacho gordo allá atrás. Y también tenemos 2 o 3 espacios tal vez que podamos poner muchachos adicionales dentro del dugout. You will also see kids lining up along the fence in the designated areas. Van a ver los muchachos en las áreas designadas en la verja, a donde ellos se van a sentar. You can see one of the kids. The poles are 10 feet apart or so. Los tubos son como 10 pies de distancia. Here I want to show you where a simulated game, as you can see, we have the coaches on third, or the players, the umpires behind the picture. Si ven aquí tenemos un juego, una simulación de un juego. Cuando usted ven el bateador que tiene hasta máscara, el umpire está detrás del lanzador, el coach está por tercera, y así ustedes ven los jugadores que están en su espacio, en su área de a donde juegan su terreno, el tercera base, el short y el pitcher. You can go on. As you can see there, you see the batter has a helmet along with his mask. Ahí ven el bateador que tiene el casco puesto con una mascarilla. De nuevo ven en primera base, segunda base, en sus posiciones. There you can see the positions of first and second base, and as well as you can see the coaches. There you have a coach. You see the coach on third, the pitching, players at third. Ahí ven el coach. Vieron el tercera base, el short. Estos son los muchachos del outfield. You can see the outfielders in their position.
You also mentioned the spectators.
Yeah, you have some spectators in the back. As you can see, I don't know if you're able to zoom them in, pero pueden ver los fanáticos, la fanaticada atrás ese día, dando el apoyo al proyecto que se hizo para traerle esta presentación a todos ustedes. You see the fans out there that were helping us and supporting us in bringing you this presentation. Here you can see a practice, how a practice would be conducted, where you have all the players on the field, the coach hitting the ball, everyone is spread out. You have additional coaches on the field giving instruction. Como pueden ver, ahí pueden ver la práctica, donde están todos los jugadores en sus posiciones y los entrenadores y un entrenador atrás dando instrucciones a los jugadores durante la práctica. Ahora vamos a la máquina de bateo. The batting cage, as you can see, you have a coach outside giving some instructions to the player. Pueden ver un coach, un entrenador, dándole instrucciones a un bateador que están afuera. Continue on. And now you will see as well, once we get to the batting cage, where you have a coach pitching to a player. Ahí pueden ver el coach, el entrenador, tirándole práctica de bateo. Here we have a pitcher pitching on the pitching mound by left field. There's usually one on left field and right field and field 6 and other fields as well. Pueden ver ahí la práctica de picheo. Siempre hay una por el lado del left field y una por el lado del right field. En los otros plays también. Ahí pueden ver un entrenador dándole práctica, dándole instrucciones al pitcher y al catch. You can see you have the instructor giving instructions to the pitcher and catcher as they are there practicing. So I want to thank everybody who helped us. Again, thank you. Muchas gracias a todos los que participaron en ese proyecto.
One more slide, Alex.
Okay, cool. For the parents, spectators, all spectators must maintain the distance. We've been repeating it. It's going to be an ongoing theory of us to continue to badger you with that. No parents in the dugouts or playing areas at the time. So that's another one. No food in the dugouts. We went over that previously. No after the game team organizations gathering, you know, goodies, barbecues, birthdays. You do that on your own somewhere else. Okay, avoid being near the field. Sanitizing hands as often as possible. 6 feet. 6 feet is going to be the new number for everybody. Okay. Para los padres, los espectadores, los fanáticos, deben de mantener la distancia. Va a ser una cosa que le vamos a ir diciendo durante la temporada, comenzando, durante el juego, al final del juego. ¿Okay? No queremos los padres en los bancos del terreno, durante los juegos, no lo queremos. Manténganse en su área, en ningún momento lo queremos. No vamos a permitir comida, ya hablamos de eso, en el terreno de juego. También no se va a permitir las reuniones organizadas por el equipo. Cuando ustedes quieren hacer una cosa afuera, un barbecue, un cumpleaños, háganlo fuera, bien lejos del terreno. Vamos a pedirle que siempre tengan los desinfectantes para la mano, la mascarilla, los 6 pies. Va a ser el nuevo número de nosotros y de todos en la liga. 6 pies.
Okay, so most everything we've talked about is just what we've put together as a plan to potentially do if we can get back out there and play. But like we said, we're going to follow the guidelines. So ultimately, we don't actually know what we're going to have to do to play. But one thing that we do know is that we need all of you to help us. So if you can imagine, which I'm sure you can, just getting out there now and trying to put this together and get out and play baseball, we need everybody. We need everybody's hands on deck. So there's a few things involved with that. We know that some people have moved away. We know that some people won't come back and play. So not only are we going to lose some players from that, but we're going to lose some coaches. So it's not many, we know that, but there are going to be some gaps to fill. We need all of your help to communicate from the coach to you, to your kids, to your neighbors, across the board. We need to uphold these rules so we can play safely, not only to keep us safe, but to keep us out there and playing. There is a chance that, you know, if we did not follow guidelines, as you see many people doing on those fields right now, that that right might be taken away from us. And that's the last thing we want. We need to follow the guidelines so we can get back outside and play. Like I said, we will need more volunteers. So it's not just to fill those gaps, but as Juan and Alex already mentioned, you know, we're going to play the game a little differently potentially here. So we're going to need help to maintain spacing with these kids. A lot of you have been to these games, especially with the little ones. We're still going to try and put this together for all ages. So you've seen how it is with the little ones. We're going to need all kinds of help to make sure that we keep those kids separated and following the rules. So now this is my actual job, other than being on the board and trying to put all this together with the rest of the board. But you know, a lot of you know me from, you know, asking you to sell stuff and help me make some money for the league to keep us afloat, myself and Cheyenne. Well, once again, we're actually in more of a situation right now than we've ever been, because many of you have been hit very hard. We know that, and we have too. I mean, look, I couldn't even pay for a good backdrop. I mean, look at this. It's sad. But we need all of your help. So we will need more fundraising. So be on the lookout. We're going to put together maybe some events this year if we can put it together. but certainly selling items that we will, same we've done, and we may have some others. Thank you.
Bueno, como dijo Justin en inglés, necesitamos la ayuda de todos ustedes, de todo el mundo. Necesitamos la ayuda de los padres para comunicar con otras personas. Necesitamos más entrenadores. Lo que sucede es que alguna gente se ha mudado y hay espacio ahora que han abierto. Así que necesitamos no solamente muchachos, pero también los entrenadores. Además de eso, con todos los cambios que estamos haciendo en este momento, para asegurar la distancia de los muchachos, mantenerla a los 6 pies, vamos a necesitar más ayuda con voluntarios, más ayuda con entrenadores. Así que si es posible, por favor, trabajen con nosotros para poder hacerlo lo más mejor posible. Él terminó diciendo que el trabajo de él es, sinceramente, diciendo los fondos, y está vendiendo, como siempre, está vendiendo los chocolates, lo que sea. Sabemos que el tiempo es difícil para toditos, ustedes y nosotros también, y queremos tener la liga como la tenemos ahora, siguiendo en la comunidad y trabajando bien. I hope I did a good job translating for you, Justin.
Thank you. Great job. I think. You're muted, Juan.
Sorry, I was muted. So yes, Brito, you did a great job. Thank you for translating. So I'm going to read out some of the questions that have been asked during the presentations. We have really good questions. Voy a leer unas cuantas preguntas que han preguntado durante la presentación. So first question, will kids have to wear masks? Si los muchachos tienen que usar mascarilla. Anyone want to take that? Go right ahead.
I thought that you were giving us the questions, but Alex, you spoke about it. Do you want to answer the question?
About masks. Okay, in reference to mask, right now, the batters should have a mask. At this point, it seems going to be optional for masks to be used on the field due to the fact that there's distance there. There may be situations where there's a runner on base where we may tell the kids just put on your mask while you're on that base. That could be a possibility. Queremos decirle ahora mismo a los bateadores queremos que usen la máscara, pero en estos momentos va a ser opcional para muchas de las posiciones que usen la máscara durante estén jugando defensa. Puede haber una situación donde hay un jugador en primera base y el primera base tal vez le podemos pedir que se ponga la máscara en ese momento. Pero en estos momentos nos vamos a llevar los reglamentos que nos van a dar del gobierno y también de la Little League. Just to add, we're going to follow all the regulations and rules from the government, CDC, Little League, in reference to wearing masks during the games and stuff.
Thank you, Alex. Let's see, someone wants to know, does the extended dugout pose a safety threat?
I'll take it. I know we talked about that at length, and I brought up a few things at our board meeting. So yeah, that was one of my questions. It was one of my concerns. So potentially, like anything on the field. So we need to do our best to protect our players. So these wouldn't be massive poled fences. They'll be more like backstop type netting. And we have proposed that, well, let me back up. So the idea that I had was I was worried about, a ripping line drive curling around the line and those kids not paying attention, as they quite often don't. So that could be a hazard. So the other thing which we came up with, again, goes in line with the volunteers, is that we do need a parent or, a volunteer or coach to be there, glove in hand, ready to protect them. But if we would, the idea I had originally was that it would be a pole fence, that we would have to put in there. And then our idea was that we would, wrap it in foam, but it looks like we won't need to do that.
Well, do you want to translate? Because you spoke about this also earlier.
I'm sorry, I lost track as I was reading the next question.
It was about the safety of the kids in the extended dugout, and you speak about it.
Alguien preguntó, and I'm sorry, I didn't read the question in Spanish. Alguien preguntó si los muchachos que están en el banco afuera están en algún peligro. Y un poco, pero vamos a poner una fence. Sorry, I lost the word for fence in Spanish. Una reja, vamos a poner una reja que va a proteger los muchachos de una línea y de una bola mal tirada. Y claro que antes de los juegos oficiales vamos a tener juegos de práctica a ver cómo trabaja todo esto. Gracias. All right, next question. This is a really good question.
I'm sorry, Juan, I'm sorry. También necesitamos más voluntarios para estar ahí afuera con los muchachos también en esa área.
Exacto. Okay, someone asked, the spacing makes sense for the bigger kids. What is the plan for the T-ball and smaller kids, where all the kids collapse on the ball?
I guess I'll answer that question.
I'm sorry, let me say it in Spanish. Alguien quiere saber cuál es el plan para los muchachos más pequeños que se tiran todo encima de la bola.
I'll handle the upper fields. Justin, you handle the farms. For the upper fields, yes, it's logical. We have the spacing. You know, as much as they don't want it, we're gonna enforce it and request for them to do it. On the upper fields, logical. Everyone follow the same mandate. Para el terreno de arriba, en los play grandes, se les va a pedir a todos los jugadores, vamos a hacer mandato que deben mantener la distancia de los 6 pies. Es una lógica, no importa que ellos sean grandes, todavía hay chance de la infección y necesitamos que ellos también lleven las reglas. I'm going to allow Justin to speak on the farm since he's been tackling, has a committee dealing with this question and, you know, certain things around the farms. Le voy a dar el paso a Justin, que tiene un comité que está hablando y están hablando y haciendo un plan sobre esta pregunta sobre la finca y las divisiones que son más pequeñas. Go ahead, Justin.
Thank you, Alex. So, yeah, we've met a few times and spent some hours talking about this. It was one of our largest concerns to get back out there. The older kids, obviously, Alex just covered, know better. They know what to do. They can follow instruction better across the board. So we were worried about the farms, which constitutes basically 4 to 8-year-olds, rookies, superstars, and farms. So originally it just came up, well, we were not going to be able to do that because you've seen how that works, and those kids, you know, are all over each other. They, you know, collapse on the ball. But we went out there and looked at it logistically with, you know, primarily this is with the farms directors, Cheyenne Gross and Eric Morales. So we looked at every aspect of it, looked at the fields, and the original idea, other than not doing it at all, was to maybe change it into something different, which would be like a skills thing, a clinic sort of event, which would still be great, getting outside, playing baseball. And essentially those kids, that's what they need to learn anyway, are skills. But then really when we thought about it, I think we can do better than that. As long as we have the volunteers, we can play the game. The biggest tackle is, like was mentioned before, is the dugout. On the field, I think we can handle it with the right number of coaches. In the dugout is the issue. So essentially, one thing that wasn't mentioned earlier with that overhead look about field 6 is how that looks for fields 2, 3, and 4. And what we came up with as a possibility, again, we're going to follow guidelines, but for our specific situation with 2, 3, and 4, they only have one outfield fence, right? So field 2 has a right field fence, field 3 and 4 have left field fences. So we would just change it up, and we wouldn't actually have home and away dugouts, but we would just have utilize that fence all the way out to the outfield, maybe wrapping around a bit to have cones there where the little kids would stay. That would be their spot with their stuff. And then we would pull them in, come into your position, or they would go to their spot, and then when they're up at bat, and then come up to bat, and then go right back to their spot if they didn't get a hit, that is. So we're still working on it, but I think we have a pretty good plan.
Okay, you said a lot, Justin, so I'll do my best.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Ok, voy a tratar lo mejor, pero en sinceridad, nosotros tenemos como 3 o 4 reuniones sobre este tema para los muchachos que son en la finca, que son de 4 a 8 años de edad. Esos son los rookies, los superstars y los farms. Y al principio estábamos pensando, quizá no vamos a hacer nada con ellos y no vamos a tener temporada, pero salimos allá afuera con el director del farms, que es Cheyenne Gross, y su asistente, Eric Morales, y nos dimos cuenta que es posible hacerlo. Vamos a necesitar la ayuda de los padres, la ayuda de más voluntarios, pero es posible. La parte que es un poquito más difícil era la parte cuando están bateando. Y lo que decidimos hacer es, en vez de tener 2 dugouts, vamos a tener un dugout regular, entonces extenderlo en la red afuera, quizá en right field para uno y en left field para el otro, y eso va a ser para todos los muchachos que están jugando ofensiva. La defensa va a ser diferente, van a estar jugando en el play. Pero es una cosa que creemos que podemos hacerlo trabajar. Tenemos el plan que con la ayuda de ustedes, la ayuda de los entrenadores, la ayuda de los voluntarios, que vamos a poder hacerlo, que los muchachos puedan jugar bien.
Great job. We're gonna answer a few more questions, and I promise we will answer all your questions via email. I will respond to all of them. So vamos a hacer unas cuantas más preguntas, y las preguntas que no las respondimos aquí las vamos a responder por email, okay? All right, so another good question. Will the raffle be upheld this season? Vamos a tener la rifa, si vamos a tener la rifa este año.
I'll answer that one. The answer to the question is yes. I mean, truth be told, raffle tickets were sold. And people are expecting that. So when the season opens, the raffle tickets that were already put out there, those will be the raffles that we will put from the box. So please, when we announce that we're coming back, if you have any raffles in your possessions, give them to us so that we can put them in the box. And on opening day, whatever that date happens to be, right now it's targeted for July 6th, but I am not making any promises whatsoever because we don't know exactly what's going to happen just yet. But right now it looks like that's what's going to happen. That will be the day that we pull it out of the box. So, sobre la rifa, la vamos a tener en esta temporada cuando abrimos. Ustedes tienen, si tienen taquilla, por favor, entréguenlo a nosotros antes de comenzar. Lo vamos a hacer el primer día que abrimos. Al momento pensamos, y ojalá va a ser el día 6 de julio, pero no estamos seguros, no estoy prometiendo nada al momento, pero al momento del paso creemos que va a ser esa va a ser la fecha. En ese día, vamos a hacer como hacemos años atrás, lo ponemos en la caja y sacamos la rifa. Hay mucha gente que ya han vendido la taquilla y entre nosotros y lo vamos a ordenar. Gracias.
Great. I'm going to ask 2 more questions. So here's another really good question. What if a person can't afford a bat or a helmet? ¿Qué pueden hacer con alguien que no puede comprar un casco o un bate? ¿Cómo lo podemos ayudar?
I'll take it.
Sure.
So that is a tough one. So we, in our rules in here, we said absolutely everybody has to bring their own stuff. So, but we understand that that may be difficult, especially the younger kids that don't have those things yet. Plus, these are tough times financially. So we have to plan for that. We have discussed it. Again, I'll go back to having more help. We need more help. So what we're going to have to do ultimately is disinfect. We're going to have to clean those items in between each use. If it's going to be a common used item, a helmet or a bat, we want to minimize it as much as possible. That's basically what we're trying to do. And what that will look like is a kid uses a bat or helmet. We're going to have somebody take the time to clean it, wipe it down with wipes, and then it will need time to dry before it's used again. But that right now is our plan. Thank you.
I'm just going to add a little bit to it in English before translating it, and that is that with the helmets in particular, it's something we are going to try to provide helmets for those individuals. We encourage parents to bring a cap or something like that maybe so the kid could also wear underneath the helmet, so that way, in addition to us cleaning it, that's another safety precaution. So, were you going to translate it, Juan, or can I continue?
No, continue.
Okay. Sobre la pregunta, la gente que no tiene los fondos para comprar el bate o el caco, sabemos que estos son tiempos difíciles para todo el mundo. Y el plan que tenemos al momento es que vamos a tener algunos cacos y que lo vamos a limpiar entre cada uso. Antes del muchacho usarlo, el próximo muchacho usarlo, vamos a limpiar. Además de eso, yo dije en inglés ahora mismo que si ustedes tienen como gorras o algo así también, porque el muchacho se puede poner abajo del caco, eso también va a ser preferible. So, igual con los bates, vamos a tener el bate ahí. Cada vez que un muchacho usa el bate, lo traiga para atrás, lo vamos a limpiar para que el próximo muchacho lo pueda usar. Pero es preferible si lo pueden, si uno tiene su caco también, y si tienen su bate, pero cuando no lo tengan, ese es el plan que tenemos para usar.
Great. So another good question. Someone wants to know how can they apply their fee towards next year. I can take this question. Alguien quiere saber cómo pueden pasar el pago para el año que viene como crédito. So basically, your coach is going to call you tomorrow, and they're going to ask if you're ready to play this year or if you want to take the year off, whatever you want to do. We will accommodate you. And basically, if you want to just pass the credit on to next year, we'll keep a record of that. And your money's good for next year or whatever season you want to use it in the fall, because we do plan on playing in the fall or having some type of clinic. However you want to use your fee, you can definitely use it. So si usted ha pagado y no quiere jugar este verano, está bien, no hay problema. El coach suyo lo va a llamar quizás mañana o pasado y se lo puede explicar que usted no quiere jugar y seguramente lo ponemos para el año que viene o cuando usted quiera jugar o quiera volver a jugar. Si quiere jugar en el otoño, también puede usar ese dinero para ese tiempo. All right. So I think we're good with all the questions. I will follow up with all the questions via email because we have a lot more questions and I know people don't want to be here for another hour. A lot of great questions here. Thank you everybody for coming. Excuse me.
So, while he's being excused, I want to follow his trend. Basically, I want to thank everybody for coming. We really do appreciate you taking the time to understand what's going on. We need your assistance, as we keep saying over and over and over again. We truly believe we're going to get this started. We have been planning and working on this for months now. We're eager and ready to go. We need your assistance. And if you have any challenges or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. But I also want to take the time to also thank my colleagues for great presentations, all the hard work they went into putting this together. So we thank you for all of that. Quiero darle las gracias a todo el mundo por participar, hacer su pregunta. Estamos aquí para ayudarlo. Necesitamos su ayuda ahora más que antes porque necesitamos más voluntarios. Quiero dar las gracias a todos mis compañeros aquí, a Alex, a Juan y a Justin por el buen trabajo y a todos los demás. I want to also thank, I almost forgot, the board of directors who've been really working fiendishly to get this together for months and months and months. All of them. If you don't know who they are, shame on you because you should know. También le estoy dando gracias a la directiva que están trabajando. Usted no puede creer el trabajo que están haciendo para llegar a este nivel. Okay? So thank you. God bless. And we went just a little bit over. Buenas noches. Good night.
Buenas noches.
Bye.
Good night.